Real quick, guys, before we get into the video today, I just really want to say thank you to all now 100 subscribers. Yes, I did just hit 100 subscribers. For those who may not think that's a big deal, it's a big deal to me. So thank you, guys. And without further ado, here is the video that you've been looking for. Alright, my Zane Mayhem. So with the release of the new DLC from Moxie, we got the Seeing Dead class mod, and this thing is definitely amazing. I really like the antifreeze, but this allows for so much more build variety, and that's what I feel like Zane has been missing, especially in comparison to the other Vault Hunters, is just viable ways for him to play that are different, that aren't monotonous, and that do a lot of different things, man. That's what I like, variety. So with that, let's get into the build. So with my last video, I showcased how I took down Wotan, and I was able to keep up all my action skills pretty much infinite. It's not like calm, cool, and collected, but you also don't have to freeze anyone, since we'll be utilizing this bad boy right here. Good Misfortune. This is definitely one of the crowning achievements of the build. This runs sort of similar to Calm, Cool, and Collected. As long as you have on the Seeing Dead class mod, it keeps proccing this to where it just lasts for a long time, and no need to hit critical shots or anything like that. Just shooting an enemy anywhere on their body will proc this skill and keep your skills up for a long time. The reason why I like this over Calm, Cool, and Collected is, once, like I just said, you don't have to worry about criticals and freezing enemies and stuff like that. And on top of that, you get to utilize some of the good anointments like on action skill in or ASE type of abilities, because you know eventually these are going to run out. But with everything that we have going on, even when they run out, they'll right back up, and the video that I have at the end will showcase that. But let's go through the build a little bit. So starting off the build, you can't do Zane without Violent Speed and Violent Momentum. They're just some of the best damage enhancing skills that he has. Allows him for great maneuverability to get in and out of combat as well. Paired with a Snowdrift, you're just all over the place. Maybe not as fast as Amara. They might end up nerfing that, but Zane is actually meant to be that fast. So thank you, Gearbox, on tuning that up a little bit. Would I love to see some buffs in these numbers? Yeah, he can stand it, but for right now, it's damn good. Also, I was going 5 out of 5 in this back when I did the video. But after talking to some trusted ears, also shout out to Thick Filet and his Zane Nation Discord. There's some friendly guys over there with open ears and willing hearts. So thank you guys. I took your advice. So I ended up going 3 out of 5 here in Salvation. It's more than enough, especially when paired with Donnybrook, which we'll get to in a little while. Between both of those skills being up almost 100% of the time, Zane definitely has enough health to go around for sure. You gotta take this, especially since the drone will be out for quite a long time. It's one of the longest running skills anyway, but it'll be out for a long time. So it's just going to be dropping nades, and I paired it with a cloning gas call. I really like the grenade. You can choose whatever grenade. We'll get to the equipment later, but that's what I did. Cool Hand. Okay, so with the ability for this to stack twice, it's basically kind of 4 out of 5 most of the time, and you don't have to worry about reload speed. You could make this a 5 out of 5 skill. It's purely based on preference for this ability. You don't have to follow my word to the T on this, but I just feel with the stacking twice, it's 4 out of 5, and it's good at that. I don't need it any higher than that, especially when you see my equipment loadout. Moving down to Death Follows Close. This, as I've stated in Why Zane Sucks video, which I'll be amending here shortly too, so stay tuned for that video. But as I stated in the past, this could have been good enough to have been a capstone by itself, but I love it, and you must take it. You must take it. It's too good. It's one of the cornerstones to why this build is so good. Violent Violence. This skill is great, but depending on the weaponry you use, you run out of bullets and you're back into reload, which makes you have to kind of spec more into a cool hand if you want to keep up your DPS. So instead of going 5 out of 5 with this, I'm currently using a Lucian's Call and some other stuff, so I get bullets returned to my magazine. So my fire rate with all the weapons are already great, and I'm doing tons of damage. So once again, another preference kind of thing. You can take this for more DPS, of course. More fire rate is more DPS, but that's only if your clip size or your guns allow you to do that. You can run a cut purse, stuff like that, etc., etc. Playing Dirty, though, the second crowning achievement of this build, as you can see through mods and everything like that, it's extra shot chance 90%. 90% is huge. Now, if you had this 7 out of 5, it would actually be 105% chance. Guaranteed extra projectile. I'm cool with 90%, especially when you see my class mod later and what it got rolled. I'm fine with it, but I would love this at 105%, just the overkill, and always fire that extra bullet. Keep those skills up. It definitely increases the DPS, but the 90 percentile chance is very high, which means it's almost proccing every time, combined with the fact that Seeing Dead will keep playing dirty on the bottom bar for a long time. You're just outputting so much damage. And last but not least, like I said, Good Misfortune, keeping our action skills just up so much of the time that it's ridiculous. It's close to the infinite action of Cool, Calm, and Collected, but not, because we can utilize it knowing that these will eventually run out. We can plan around that eventuality and play it to our build even more. Of course, you have to take Bad Dose and Static Field. Even when Static Field isn't being utilized, it's cool to look at. I'm playing, but you're usually always somewhere now with the Maliwan Takedown, with the Handsome Jack expansion. A lot of people, a lot of enemies have shields or anything like that. So just getting that and recharging your own just fuels this whole thing we got going on. Moving on over to Doubled Agent. You know we had to drop 5 points into Synchronicity. That's 40% gun damage while both of our action skills are up. And like this title says, near infinite action skill, we'll have that pretty much nearly infinite. So yeah, the good damage right there. And then my class mod is kind of insane with 4 points into Donnybrook, giving us 36% flat gun damage overall, and giving us some health mitigation. When combined with Salvation, we have more than enough health sustain to just stay alive through some of the hairiest situations. You could try and find a class mod with a 5 out of 5 for that, and take it even higher, or you could do like me, and I'm looking for 2 in Playing Dirty and 3 in Donnybrook. And that would be a perfect split, along with, 25% weapon damage on the class mod. We'd be looking at a lot of damage. Oh my god. Last but not least, on over to the Undercover Tree. Now, I put points in this tree for really 2 reasons. 2 reasons. Confident Competence, for even greater gun damage and accuracy on some of the weapons that I'm using. They kind of need it, so that's nice. But really and truthfully, the gun damage. And All-Rounder. When All-Rounder's paired with you, you shouldn't be taking any damage to your shields anyway. So that's just a flat extra 35 percentile gun damage added with Donnybrook and with synchronicity and some of the other stuff like playing dirty. Our damage is just insane. Too good. Now, of course, when our skills do go down, we have adrenaline to help with that cooldown. Ready for action to help with getting the shields back up when we want them. And this is more preference. You could take these 3 points and put them here, and that would help keep your shields up and keep the recharge down and etc, etc. But I like the pretty much plus 15% damage resistance, just in case when our shields go down, we're not super squishy. Remember, I am running a loaded dice, which we're going to get over to the gear in just a second, but that just helps with my playstyle and preference. Now, remember, guys, some of these points were chosen out of playstyle and preference. So if you would like to change some of these things to fit how you would like them to rock, test them out. This is more like a build guide than, like a hard Bible. It's just like pirate rules. You kind of do what you want. They're more like guidelines, so let's move on over to the gear. All right, on over to the backpack. There are a lot of choices to be made when kitting out your Zane, especially for what you want to do. But I picked either hard hitting or fast shooting weapons so I can make sure to always be proccing the Seeing Dead. All you need to do is damage an enemy, and then this has a chance to proc. And I don't know what it is to proc, but I know with fast weapons you have a high chance to proc this, and that's why I chose stuff like Lucian's Call, which my Lucian's Call is horrible for this build, but with it returning bullets to the clip on criticals, it helps with the fire rate and all that stuff that we took earlier, and it just helps with the damage, especially with playing dirty, nearly 90% proccing all the time. That doubles the damage of the Lucian's Call. So just imagine if you had a on action skill in type of anointed Lucian's Call, that would be even better. I've also been playing around with this Arctic Vanquisher specifically because of the accuracy increase and the critical hit increase, and it doubles while sliding anyway. And I have on a snowdrift, and we're 5 out of 5 with violent speed and momentum. So I'm just moving, and especially since I got used to moving and shooting by playing with the antifreeze class mod, I even redid my buttons and everything like that fit my playstyle. So this gun and Lucian's Call really help with proccing the actual kill skills. And remember, you can take some of them twice at the bottom as well. So getting those ramped up helps, just with your overall damage. This is the hot stuff right now, Redistributor. I am not running an electric banjo. However, this thing still kicks ass, and especially with this damaging multiple enemies, it helps proc this as well. So shout out to Thick Filet with that electric banjo build. It made me even just look at this weapon. I'd love an anointed one, but it's good just as well. I've been running the Maliwan Raid, so this is just balls to the walls, really good, especially since this does corrosive and cryo, and we're trying to keep that Sentinel up a long time as well, so that bonus 50% cryo damage is just there. Same thing with the Maggie. It's anointed for the Sentinel. I really like Sentinel and barrier stuff. That's why I also have this legendary Crossroad, and then with playing dirty, it goes back to being the original Crossroad because we pretty much always get that extra projectile, so it's back at 4 projectiles instead of 3. And then while barrier is up, we get that critical hit damage and the accuracy, which helps tighten up that spread to send it back to being the old Crossroads. It's still good, guys. It's still good. This is my pride and joy. I'm gonna send this out to 5 people from the last video discussing why I thought this was one of the better shields to have for calm, cool, collected builds. I think it's still really good in this build as well. Keeping that barrier up will help cool down our action skills when they are on cooldown and stuff like that. So it's just good for survivability. It's good for our synergy. It's just good, period. So look out, guys, for your inboxes. I'll be sending you some copies of these. At first I was only gonna pick one, but I'm gonna dupe it up and I'm gonna send 5 out, so be on the lookout. We've already gone over our class mod. However, there's some things to note from mine specifically. 25% flat weapon damage, and that goes in line with every other damage skill we've taken. The 31% assault rifle damage, another reason why I like rocking my Lucian's Call. You can go with Rowan's Call or any of that other thing, but make sure it's something that returns bullets to the clip with how many bullets you actually end up going through. And the 10% Molly Wand damage is just helping our Cutsman, and I do have like a Cutsman for almost every occasion. We got this one with the Digiclone. We got ASE for that one. We got a Shockwing over here. I got some more in the vault as well. So there's always a Cutsman on me. There's a Cutsman for every occasion, believe it or not. So that extra 10% damage to that, plus playing dirty, shooting double the projectile for this, plus the 50% cryo, makes this thing an absolute beast, an absolute monster. So every aspect of this is getting used in some shape, form, or fashion. I would love something along this, but like I said, 2 in playing dirty to get that 100 percentile chance, and then the 3 in Donnybrook, I'll take the loss because I'll be making sure that I always fire a double projectile, so that mitigates that damage right there. Going with a Snowdrift loaded dice. I'm currently looking for a Snowdrift Victory Rush. That would be better, give me back some little health, but I also really like the fact that I get a lot of legendaries. Even when I'm playing in groups of people, they'll be like, oh, I didn't get any legendaries. I at least get 2 to 3 legendaries compared with the amount of luck I have from Guardian rank, which we'll get into in a second. Pretty good, pretty good. Last but not least, we're going with a cloning gas call. I don't know if this comes anointed. I doubt it does, and plus we won't see this probably until the next Halloween event or some specialized event that brings back certain monsters or ways to get this. I do have like its piss with the ASE anointment and some other stuff, but I really like the fact that since the drone just kind of drops where it wants to, or you can direct the drone and hope that the 15-second timer is ready to go. But this just dropping anywhere on the field and hurting a lot of enemies just mitigates having to direct the drone in general. So on to Guardian rank. Now I'm going to tell you right now, I definitely don't have my Guardian rank maxed out across the board. I went into Enforcer for all the obvious damage reasons. And then topped off is just a really, really good thing to have, especially with this build, keeping that transformer up, keeping that barrier up. This just helps when it's down all of a sudden, or one of them runs out and you couldn't keep it going. It's cool. Topped off got you. I really like Dead Man's Hand from this tree. And Resilient, I'd like to get Shield Reboot. And of course, Emergency Response is really good as well. But as you can see, I'm working my way downtown and I'm walking fast. So that's it for the Guardian tree. Some closing thoughts really on the build. Is this the new meta? I'm not saying that at all. This is a build I just stumbled upon that I really liked, especially since I got tired of doing the antifreeze slide and gun and run and all that. And I wanted something a little bit different. And Good Misfortune's never really been used because why do that when you could run Cool, Calm, and Collected, which is better and arguably in a really good tree as well. So this is to break the monotony. And it hurts. It really does a lot of damage. I've taken or at least try to take in all major damage skills while balancing a lot of utility with like keeping all-rounder and stuff up. I really like it. If you guys have any more suggestions like I've had from some of the Zane Nation Discord, I would love to hear them. I also want to try and do something with the grenade chance off of Fractal Frags and a Digiclone kind of build. As soon as I can figure something out with that too, that build will be coming up shortly as well. I'd like to thank all you guys and hit that like and subscribe button. I've had definitely a lot of feedback and views on the channel, and if I had half as many views as I've had on some of my videos as subscribers, we'd be in there. But do your boy a favor, go ahead and hit those things, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Got a bit messy, but nobody's paying me for a clean takedown.